We might be grappling with the heat this afternoon, but last night it was thunder, lightning and heavy rain. London Fire Brigade took around 400 calls as intense thunderstorms hit the capital and the home counties. Our correspondent Simon Harris reports now on a long, stormy night and its aftermath.
On the hottest day of the year, this was the storm before the calm. For almost 2 hours before dawn, Londoners were kept awake by the sounds and sights of epic thunder and lightning. This was a station in Ruislip during the torrential downpour.
No way.
In Rains Park, roads were flooded. And in this street in Richmond, people came out to sweep the water from their front doors.
Rain like I have never, ever seen before. I know people would say this, but it was absolutely torrential.
Constant flashes. Every sort of few seconds, flash, flash, flash.
It was biblical. We expected to see Noah and the Ark coming down the street.
Hours after the storm, the fallout was being felt by commuters who arrived at stations to find a large part of the underground at a standstill. The energy from the static electricity in the lightning storm played havoc with the computerised signalling system. Without signals, the entire subsurface network was paralysed, with no trains on the Circle, District, Hammersmith and City or Metropolitan lines. Engineers were forced to drive across London to reset the system manually. Passengers using mainline trains were also warned of trouble ahead. Network Rail advised people not to travel tomorrow and Thursday because of the disruption expected from the heatwave. Trains will be slower, so there'll be fewer of them.
Railways right across Europe this week are facing the same challenges we are, and many railways are taking the same measures that we are doing to make sure that we can deliver the service to customers that they deserve.
At a climate conference in London, the head of the United Nations made this observation.
This city and far beyond are experiencing the hottest day of the year with higher temperatures to come. London isn't just calling, it's cooking.
By lunchtime, temperatures in central London were in the 30s. In the shade, Berkeley Square was the perfect spot for a break from the office. In Green Park, others made the most of the sun's hot rays.
For me, I've always loved the heat, so I'm all right with it.
We thought we were just going to hang in the park and enjoy our time.
Staying in the shade when we can.
Yeah. Got the factor 50.
Factor 50 on.
I always like the sun, but I know to step outside the sun if I'm starting to feel too hot and uncomfortable, then it's time to pack up and go.
Tuesday began with the mother of all storms. It's ending with the daddy of heat waves. Simon Harris, ITV News, Green Park.
London will be among the first cities and towns investigated by the Grooming Gangs inquiry. The £65 million probe is investigating how gangs operated and how police, councils, health services, social care services and schools responded. The capital has the highest rate of referrals for child sexual exploitation in the country. Our political correspondent Simon Harris has this report.
The extent of grooming gangs in London has been the subject of fierce debate. Just how widespread is the exploitation for sex of vulnerable young women in the capital? We might be about to find out. The government's official inquiry into grooming gangs has identified London, along with 3 northern towns, as places to begin its investigation.
We know that there's high levels of referrals for children with child sexual exploitation, that have experienced child sexual exploitation. We know that there are high levels of criminality, some of which related to this, and also others in terms of county lines as well.
In January 2025, there was a heated row at City Hall when a Tory Assembly member challenged the mayor.
Grooming gangs that I would call rape gangs. Tell me about them. How many of those have we got?
Can she define what she means by that?
If you look at what's gone on in Rotherham, where there are people taking young girls, grooming them for sex.
What does she mean by that?
You know full well what I mean by that. It's all over the television. You know exactly what I mean by that.
Susan Hall says that exchange prompted dozens of victims to get in touch to share their stories.
How they'd been let down by care workers, how they'd been let down by the police, how they'd been let down by all authorities. We must look after our children. These are kids around 13, 14, 15 when it happened. This is the disgrace of the century, in my view.
Today, Sir Sadiq Khan welcomed the investigation by Baroness Longfield and pledged to leave no stone unturned to help victims get justice. Do you think there is a grooming scandal in London to be uncovered?
Well, the evidence is London is different to other parts of the country, particularly in those northern towns in terms of the profile of those who exploit young people, those who exploit children. The Met Police Service going back 15 years just to make sure no mistakes, no errors were made, and the Met Police have my full support, and we're going to support the National Inquiry. It's incredibly important.
As well as London, the inquiry will focus on Oldham in Greater Manchester and Bradford and Keighley in West Yorkshire. Any evidence uncovered could lead to prosecutions. Simon Harris, ITV News.
Good evening. Temperatures have hit 34 degrees and the effects are being felt. London Ambulance Service has recorded its highest ever number of life-threatening emergencies. The Mayor today set out a heat plan with ideas for how to protect people against the increasing number of heat waves. It warns around 1 million homes in London may currently be at high risk of overheating. Buildings and services should adapt to the heat, it warns, but air conditioning is apparently not the answer, and yet it's all anyone seems to want. Our first report tonight from our political correspondent, Simon Harris.
As temperatures climbed into the 30s, Lewis was climbing onto a sun-baked roof to put the finishing touches to the hottest item in town, an air conditioning unit. He's fitting it to an ordinary suburban house at Hornchurch in East London. Down below, Glenda and her cockatoo Toby can't wait for it to be turned on tonight.
A neighbour had it fitted, we went and viewed that, and we just went from there really. We thought now's the time, it's getting hotter, we just can't stand it anymore.
And tell me about the parrot, what's he going to make of it?
He'll probably freak out to start with, but hopefully he'll be a lot cooler as well because he doesn't like the heat, despite what people think about parrots.
The aircon units cost around £2,000 a room, but there's been a surge in demand.
We had 500 phone calls yesterday, and I'm guessing more today. We've had over 1,000 inquiries through the website alone.
At Islington Fire Station, Sadiq Khan was shown one of the new 4x4s which have been bought to deal with wildfires. He was there to share his latest thinking about how to tackle rising temperatures.
Doing things like planting trees that have more shade, installing more water fountains, working with great restaurants and shops to provide free water, making sure when it comes to a council changing the boilers, replace them with heat pumps that can cool homes as well as heat homes.
City Hall estimates around 1 million homes could be at risk of overheating, with packed-in flats and houses struggling to cool down overnight. London could face up to 3 times as many heatwaves by the 2040s, with climate change making extreme heat more frequent and more intense. The Mayor wants to focus on 37 areas, such as tree planting and fixing homes, but with few details of when or how they'll be paid for. But apart from on public transport and in hospitals, there's less emphasis on air conditioning.
The work I did for the Mayor of London, inspired by the heatwave in 2022, showed that many air conditioning units actually failed at 40-degree heat because they didn't have the standards to operate at that level. We have to make sure that everybody has access to cooling, and nature and shading, shutters on outside buildings, they all have a role to play.
One simple, though not necessarily cheap solution is to fit external shutters. Justin's house in North London has been retrofitted to exploit the benefits of shade, and he's already noticed the difference.
In the room that we've got right here, which has got external blinds on it, there's a difference of several degrees. So if you go into that room in the morning, it's maybe 4 degrees or more cooler than the rest of the house.
Thanks to air conditioning, Toby should also be cooler tonight. Simon Harris, ITV News, Hornchurch.